What is up, guys? My name is Lex. Welcome back to the vlog. Tonight we drove 25 minutes up north to Seminole Coconut Creek Casino. We haven't been here in over a year and they just renovated their poker room. It's on the second floor now. Everything looks nice and new. Tonight they're running a 5-10 game, so I head to the cashier. I get some chips. I sit down at my table, buy in for $2,500, which is the max. Let's get started. We start off this session playing 7-handed at the 5-10 game. We look down at King 10 of spades, our very first hand, a great playable hand in the cutoff. We want to be raising it up here, trying to build a pot with such a great hand in position. I'm going to get $30. Only the big blind makes the call. We see an above average flop of queen, queen 9, 2 spades. We flop a straight and flush draw. He checks. I bet, and my opponent makes the call. Let's bink that jack of spades for a straight flush, but not this time. 9 of hearts on the turn, one of the worst cards to see here. It double pairs the board. My opponent checks, and I don't think betting here is good, so I check back. The river's a 4, he checks again, and with king high here with 2 spades in my hand, I just feel like I'm going to take this to showdown. I announce I have king 10, and he shows king 10 as well. So we chop this one up. I've been making poker videos for just over a year now. This is actually episode number 99, which is awesome to think about. I want to thank you guys again for showing up every single week to watch my poker videos. In the beginning, when I first started recording at the table, it was super nerve-wracking. I would always try to think, am my hands in the right position? Are my cards in the way of the camera? Trying to document the results of the hand while keeping people's faces out, trying to look inconspicuous so people don't catch me. There's a lot that goes into this that I think people don't really understand. In this next hand, unfortunately, I thought I hit the play button on the camera, but I guess I didn't, so I don't have live action footage of this next hand, but it does get pretty interesting. I'm in the cutoff position with queen, jack of spades. I make it $30. The button re-raises me to $60, which is kind of an odd sizing. The big blind cold calls this 3-bet, and with about $2,500 effective with the big blind and about $1,500 effective with the button, I make the call. The flop comes out jack, 7-3, 2 diamonds, so we flop top pair. The big blind leads out for $100. This is a lot of the time usually indicative of top pair holdings or flush draws. I can't raise here with my top pair with the button left behind me, so I just make the call, and the button makes the call as well. Jack of clubs on the turn, giving us trips, and now the big blind checks. I don't think he's ever doing this with a full house or trip jacks, and I don't want to give a free card to the button or the big blind as well, so I'm going to take over the betting lead here. I make it $300. Button very quickly folds, but the big blind comes along with a call. So once he leads out on the flop, check calls his turn. I'm almost positive he has a flush draw, maybe a straight and flush draw, so we're looking for a brick river. With a lot of money in the pot already, we see the 5 of diamonds, one of the worst cards in the deck. Big blind checks, and I check back. He shows 8, 9 of diamonds for a flush, and he gets us on the river. We end up losing a couple $100 in this hand. Camera is back up and rolling in this next hand. Under the gun makes it $40. Same player from last hand who got us with the flush on the river. There's a hijack call. I have ace king in the cutoff and make it $125. At the time, I didn't know that the hijack player made the call, so I would have gone much bigger with my 3-bet, but unfortunately, I was messing around with my camera trying to make sure it was on. Anyway, we see a flop 3 ways in position, 7, 8, jack, no suit. Terrible board for us. When the action checks over to me, no way I'm c-betting into 3 people on this board, so I check back. Turn queen of spades now does give us a little bit of hope. Any 10 now will give us a straight. Now the under the gun player who called my 3-bet leads out here for $100. Next act player very quickly calls $100. I consider just folding right now because I only have a gut shot. I do have 2 overcards of the board, but they could not be good outs. If I hit an ace, maybe someone might hit a straight. If I hit a king, maybe someone hits 2 pair. I really consider folding here, but I thought to myself, well, if I miss and the river's a spade and they both check to me, maybe I could represent a flush and bet. I'm getting great odds here to try to hit my straight, so I eventually make the call. We see the 10 of spades on the river. We go runner, runner, nut straight in a 3-bet pot against 2 people, but the backdoor flush does get there. Action over on the under the gun player, who seems like a solid player, knows what he's doing, so I don't think he's going to be getting out of line here once he gets called twice on the turn in a 3-bet pot on this river card. He does continue to bet for $325, and he gets literally snap called by the hijack player. Now the action's back over on me. We're sitting here with a nut straight, but the backdoor flush got there against a player who doesn't seem like he's bluffing. Folding is obviously not an option, but can we somehow find a raise here? If we really take a look at Under the Gun's betting line here, he's saying he has a super strong hand. He bet into 2 people on the turn and now continues to bet on the river when called twice on the turn, so he should have a flush here a lot of the time. Now that the hijack player made the call, I feel like it is somewhat thin to put in a raise here, so I just make the call. Under the Gun shows pocket 6s for a bluff. I show ace king for a straight, and the hijack player eventually shows ace queen for top pair, top kicker. We end up getting lucky there on the river, going runner, runner, nut straight to take down over $1,000 pot in the first hour of our session. We got unlucky with queen jack of spades, but our luck is turning around. It seems like it's still going here with aces, black pocket aces, ace of spades, ace of clubs, my favorite suit of aces, by the way. There's a limp for $10 from Under the Gun. I make it $50. Middle position player makes the call. Under the Gun calls as well. Queen, 9-6 rainbow. Seems like a great board for us. Under the Gun checks. I bet $70. Middle position player folds, and the action's back on Under the Gun. He counts out $70 in calling chips, but then adds a couple more chips plus 2 black chips and puts in a check raise to $280. I look over at his stack and ask to see how much he's playing. He has about $800 behind. I'm not really sure what to do here, call or re-raise. A lot of the time when recreational players check raise, they most always have 2 pair sets or straights. There's no straights available here, but there's a ton of 2 pairs or sets he can have. Queen 9, 9-6 suited, pocket 9s, pocket 6s. All those hands have us in really bad shape. However, against this player, he seems to be mixing it up a little bit, so it's possible he could be doing this with a top pair holding like queen jack, maybe king queen, queen 10. I don't want to fold just yet, so I make the call, looking to evaluate on the turn. 6 pairing the board, one of the best cards in the deck. Less likely he has pocket 6s, and now queen 9 is counterfeit. He decides to check now over to me. I've never played any hands with this guy except for that first hand with ace king. I have no idea if he's capable of checking a full house. I've seen a lot of trapping going on here. With aces, we really don't need too much protection on this board, so I check back. The river's an 8 of clubs, does bring in jack 10 for a straight, but he decides to check it over to me again. I don't think he's ever checking a full house or a straight, so I'm going to go for some value. I make it $300, and he snap calls us. We show pocket aces, and they are good, taking down another sizable pot. I'm always trying to improve and learn from my mistakes, and I think in this hand I did make a mistake by not betting the turn and going for max value here with pocket aces. I think a small bet on the turn and then shoving the river would have been good. I think we could have stacked this guy. Fortunately, sometimes I don't play my best, but that is the good thing about poker vlogging is I can go back and look over my hands and try to get better for next time. A couple rapid fire hands here. Pocket 5s Under the Gun to make it $30. Under the Gun plus 2. Cutoff makes the call. We all check on the 8-8-6 board. The turn is a 7. I check again. We have an open-head straight draw now, and Under the Gun plus 2 makes it $50. Cutoff folds. I make the call. Queen of spades on the river. I check. He checks back, and pocket 5s are good. Next hand, there's a button straddle to $25. I have pocket queens in the small blind. I make it $75. Button makes the call. Flop is ace 3-4 all spades. Not terrible, not great. I bet. Button calls. Turn pairs the board. I continue to bet for $100, and this time he lets it go. An interesting hand where the cutoff limp, small blind calls. I have king queen offsuit in the big blind. If this was suited, I would raise here, but offsuit, out of position, I just check my option and call. We see a king high board giving me top pair. I bet $25. Cutoff player calls. Small blind folds. Turn is a queen, giving me top 2 pair now. I continue for $60, and now the cutoff player who limped in pre-flop puts in a min check raise to $125. Interesting spot. This player did limp in from the cutoff, so I don't expect him to have ace jack here. I think he would raise pre-flop with that, but he can have all of the combination of jack 9 for a straight. I don't think I can re-raise here with top 2 pair. I guess sometimes I could, but given the fact that we're like $3,000 deep in a limped pot, I just make the call. The dealer collects the chips and puts out the 7 of spades on the river, bringing in that front door flush. I check, and he says he has 2 pair. I show king queen for top 2 pair. He shows queen 10 for a worse 2 pair. Kind of unfortunate we couldn't have gotten another street of value, but the way I played it, I don't think I really could have done much differently. Maybe re-raised on the turn, but I don't really like that play being super deep out of position. Next up, I make it $30 with Ace Queen. Side note here is I'm really liking these new cards they're using here at Coconut Creek. Plus the felt color, I just feel like it looks good with the chips on camera as well, but maybe that's just me. Small blind calls, big blind makes it $105. I contemplate 4-betting here, but in position, very deep stacked against this guy. I just make the call, small blind calls as well. Flop is 7-7-4, 2 clubs. Small blind checks. Big blind initial 3-better, bets at $150. We completely missed this board, but I don't want to give up just yet. I have the ace of clubs in my hand, and this board favors my calling range a lot more than his raising range. When he raises out of the big blind, we can assume he's going to have some big pocket pairs, ace king, ace queen. So on this board, the best hand he can really possibly have would just be one pair. But with me, I could have pocket fours, I could have all the 7x suited hands, so I call looking to either bluff or get there on the turn or the river. The small blind folds, and we see the 10 of spades on the turn. Big blind decides to check over to me, and this is exactly what I wanted. I'm hoping he has a hand like ace king, or maybe a smaller pocket pair. My plan is to bet $275 on the turn, and then blast off huge on the river. I'm definitely not a huge fan of trying to bluff people off overpairs, but we floated the flop for this exact reason, to try to apply pressure to his one pair hands. I bet $275, and he's thinking for a while, so I think ace king is definitely out of the question. He most likely just has a pocket pair here. I'm assuming he's going to call. We're going to have to blast off huge on the river, but eventually he says he's going to fold, and says he has pocket nines, and he has no idea what I have. So he lets it go, and finally, we get a bluff through. Ace Queen High takes it down. My goal is for this channel to continue to grow and hopefully be one of the top tier poker vlogs that people watch. And lately, I found it almost impossible to try to compete with some of the top poker vloggers on the content that they're creating. They're playing some huge games, risking hundreds of thousands of dollars, and unfortunately, I just can't do that. I don't have jokes like Brad Owen. I don't do drone shots like Nimi. I don't pull massive, crazy bluffs like Rampage and Mariano. But with that said, I do think I can bring value to guys in other ways. I'm hoping that my videos can help you guys see that playing poker for a living is possible if that's one of your goals. I started playing 4 years ago, totally dead broke, playing 1-2, and I haven't had to work a real job since. And I'm extremely grateful of that. I'm a huge fan of the guys I mentioned earlier, and I find it extremely entertaining watching them play such massive games and risk so much money, but unfortunately right now I just cannot compete with that size of game financially. It's just no way for me to do that. In a world where bigger is almost always better, it's a little unfortunate to me that I cannot play in these huge massive games and try to compete with the top poker vloggers, but I'm hoping that one day I can get there. Bankroll management is also very important to me. It allows me to continue to play poker for a living and have the freedom to do so. I do feel like my videos are a blueprint of what it's like to play poker for a living and that it is possible to do so. For those of you who have been watching this last year, I really appreciate your support. Episode number 99, and I'm going to strive to keep getting bigger and better in the years to come. Now that our heart-to-heart is over, let's get into the last hand of the night. There's 2 limps to me. I have ace-jack on the button, make it $50. Another gun calls. Cutoff calls. We flop top on jack 9-9, 2 diamonds. They check to me. I put out a bet. Another gun folds. The cutoff calls. Turn deuce of clubs. Cutoff checks. I bet $130, and now the cutoff puts in a check raise to $300. This is the same player who check raised me on a queen high board when I had pocket aces earlier, but this hand has played out a little bit different. He check called the flop and then now is check raised in the turn, which is a super strong play. I would assume that he's saying he has trip nines here a lot of the time. He can't have an overpair because he just limp called pre-flop, so I can take queens, kings, aces out of his range. I don't really like this position, but there's just no way I'm folding such a strong hand. So I'm just going to call and evaluate on the river. We see the 4 of clubs and he instantly checks over to me, which I don't think he's ever doing with a full house or trip nines after watching this guy play for the last couple hours. So I'm going to be betting here, but I don't want to bet too big for him to hero fold top pair. I make it $300. We get snap called. We show the ace jack and he shows jack 10 for top pair 10 kicker, and our ace is going to play. This ends up being our last big pot of the night. The table gets pretty short, so we end up racking up our chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. All right, guys, that is it for this one. Playing a session here at Seminole Coconut Creek. If you guys have been following along with the vlog from way back, like a year or so ago. I actually did a session here. I recorded a video or a vlog here, I would say back in like March of last year. I did like a couple hands and then I left and went to the Hard Rock. So technically this is our first Seminole Coconut Creek video, even though it's like 20 minutes north of the Hard Rock. I don't normally play here for a couple reasons. One is that the old room was downstairs on the casino floor, so it was full of smoke and slot machines, and it just really wasn't that comfortable to play in. And they don't really run much 510, but they had a 510 running tonight, which they usually do on the weekends. So it was a good game, very soft, somewhat passive, a lot of money on the table. I ran good, picked up some hands, really didn't run bad except for that Queen Jack of Spades hand versus the flush. I ended up winning $1,600 tonight, so I will take it. Good session tonight. The room was amazing, the new room. The lights were great. Dealers were great. They had music playing. Staff was awesome. So I'm definitely going to be coming back. I have one more thing I want to talk to you guys about, but I'm going to wait until I get home with my little buddy Rogue to tell you guys about it. Oh, hey, get in here. Get in here. Whoa! On the couch. Up, up, up. So, you may be wondering, where are we? Where am I staying? I know I talked to you guys a little while ago about not knowing what I'm gonna do, if I wanna stay in Florida, if I wanna continue to travel, and what I decided was renting an apartment was the best thing to do. So I got a nice place about 10 minutes west of Hard Rock, and it's pretty amazing. Brand new apartment, moved in last week. Really exciting. So that means I'm gonna be here in Florida for a long time. I'm also gonna be traveling to Texas, Vegas, LA, Northeast, all that stuff as well to play poker, but it just seemed like the right thing to do. It was just way too expensive to continue to live month to month out of hotels, Airbnb, extended stay, staying with friends. It just became too crazy, way too expensive. And honestly, like after 6.5 months of traveling from state to state to state, it just feels really nice to have my own place again and just be able to decorate it and stuff like that. So yeah, we're back to being a Florida man. Me and Rogue. Hey, good boy. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below for more videos just like this. And until next time, we'll see ya. See you, Rogue.